About 4,000 years ago, mankind needed only one thing from their government, and that was freedom from being invaded, their children hauled off to be slaves, the women raped and impregnated, and men to be put into slavery or killed. And that's all they needed. That's all they wanted. That's all they expected. The kings were sovereign, and they ruled. They could kill you at will. And then all of that slowly, over a couple thousand years began to change. 1,000 years ago, they wanted freedom. And the urge grew stronger and stronger. And finally, about 250 years ago, America opened up. A land so vast that the king could never find you if you were off in the woods somewhere farming or doing whatever you were doing. There was vast wealth here, untouched. And, we had leaders at that time that knew what man needed, and that was freedom. So we won a war with England, and then they had to write a constitution that gave every man the freedom he wanted. That he would no longer be the subject of a king, but he was a free man in his own right. They wrote a constitution. For the first time in history, men were free. Men were sovereign. They had the same power as a king and the same freedom as a king. Nobody had the right to in any way harm any man or woman because they were sovereign. The government was a tool of sovereign men and sovereign states. The government was built to protect the borders, to raise an army if we were attacked, and settle disputes between the states. A part of the Constitution demands a free press, and for a lot of years that worked really well. But now something else has come along. Something else has happened. The net has come along. We have Facebook. We have Google. And all of these things has given us the power of the press. We can argue out the country's problems. We really can control the Congress. You see what's going on right now with this judge thing. The people, by way of Facebook and arguing back and forth, have begun to make a little bit of a settlement among each other. I've noticed on Facebook lately that there hasn't been quite the venom that was involved to start with. Recently, socialist thinking has come to the fore. I think it's just another fad, like some of the other fads that have come before. Rock and roll, the marches in the 60s. All of them just fads is all. They lasted a few years and it was over. Well, I think the idea of socialism is also just a fad, and it's passing and will pass. As we talk more and more on Facebook, we will realize, I think, that, hey, we can run the government with our own opinions. Our representatives will really become our representatives because we will instantly know what has been done. I think it's the hope of the future. The United States, I think, will become more powerful. The American people will become even more protective of the Constitution. We saw things going on in the Obama presidency that bothered a lot of people who were worried about the Constitution and felt like that government was willing to just set it aside and do what they wanted. Well, I don't think that will ever happen again. I think that the future is bright for America. The American people will come together and the country will be stronger than it has ever been because the American people are the press and will be the press. And we can get together and we can argue these problems out and we can come to a settlement and agreement, and the Congress will have to do our bidding and the President of the United States will have to do our bidding. And it will all be done by constitutional law, because that's the only thing we have that will protect us. Why would any person in America want the government to in any way do anything that reduces your power over your country? I don't think it will happen. I think that American people will more and more come to see this, and we'll all profit from it. So anyway, this is just my intuition. I have a lot of reasons to believe this will never be so. But let me tell you one thing. I have found over my lifetime, if I followed my intuition, I have never been wrong once. Not once. But it's only when I sit back and find excuses why I shouldn't, or why maybe that my intuition is wrong, that I change my mind and do something that's a disaster. If you will follow your intuition, how you feel about things, you will be right every time. Okay, well, I just wanted to get this out of my craw. It's been stuck there for a long time, and I've been reluctant to bring any politics into this blog thing I'm doing. So everybody have a good day, and in a couple days I'll see you again. Bye-bye.